Folks, we're I think hoping to get maybe a couple more people online. I'm not sure. This is Scott speaking. I apologize. I don't have a camera on this computer, so you get the same old icon as usual, avatar that is. Let's see. Just a little bit about what we're going to be going over today is the new project that we're going to be starting on, which you know, we're hoping is going to be a very consistent and regular project because of the type of the work that's involved. We're going to be going over just some of the basic specs of the project, and also we're going to be looking over the platform which we're going to be hoping to use on this project, which is called SmartCAT. Jeff, if you haven't had the chance to meet Jeff yet, Jeff is in Cleveland, Ohio, in the United States. Jeff used to be part of the Into English team, still is in a way. Jeff is the role that I had until last year. He's focusing on sales now, but is taking to get it off the ground. Elena, who's also in the chat right now, is a project manager here at TBO Cordoba. And we may have one or two more joining us shortly. Does anybody have any questions at this point before we get started? Nope.
You know, at first glance, it might look like we're kind of throwing this together, and that's true. We've used Google Hangouts, I think, once or twice. So I think that's important in terms of what we're getting into here. We're getting into something that's going to be very steady. Let me present myself real quick. Like Scott said, I live in Ohio. I lived in Argentina at working at Translation Back Office for a long time. I've been with the company more or less since 2009. And so my current role is expanding our clientele in the United States, so in layman's terms, sales. And we moved here, my wife and my family moved here last December. And, you know, in the different correspondences that I've had with potential clients, this client has proven to be the one who's going to provide the most steady work. So, actually, when I first had the conversation with this client, we didn't have a real steady, solid team of German to English translators. So I know that one of the things that was involved in getting you guys all together and finally onto this chat today was recruitment to that end. So I know that Scott and Karen have been in touch with you all and, you know, worked to kind of come to an agreement to work with you all. And honestly, you know, those of us who have been doing this for some time know that something that is hard to come by is steady work. And I'm really excited because it seems like this is just about as steady as it gets. We're getting into a contract for whom the end client is the United States federal government, and the United States federal government doesn't really rescind their contracts. We just have to do a good job, and steady work will come from now and possibly for the next 5 years. That's how long the contract is slated to last for. So I do just want to provide that quick context that this is something that I think is going to be, you know, a real pillar of work for Translation Back Office, and hopefully the same will also be for you guys working closely with us on this team project. So with that said, you know, we have basically the two goals that Scott and I lined out for this call were to tell you that, introduce each other a bit. You know, actually would be nice, although we don't want to spend too much time, if you guys could just each of you say who you are and where you are. You know, even just those two pieces of information would be very helpful. And anything else, a third thing that you could surprise us with. If we could go one by one, maybe Agustin, maybe you could start. You're on mute, Agustin. We gotta take you off mute before you speak. There you go. Now I think we can hear you.
Yeah, well, now you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sure. Great. Well, I'm Agustin. I'm working from Buenos Aires. I've been working with TBO as a freelance translator for a couple of years now, and I work with German, English, and Spanish. I grew up in Germany, although I'm from Argentina, so German is practically my second mother tongue and my mother language. And now, during all those years, I lived abroad a lot of time, and so during all those years, I also studied constantly in English, and so I'm trilingual. So I was kind of lucky. I learned languages from a very early age on, so that's good. Like being a translator was like a natural thing for me.
And what's your situation? Do you have a family? Do you have kids? Are you single?
I have a family. I have one. No, I'm married. I live with my wife and my kid. I have a 3-year-old kid who's in kindergarten right now. Luckily, because if not, this would be a bit more messy here.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, myself have a young baby, 9 months old.
Ah, whoa, nice time. Cherish him, cherish him. When they get 2 or something like that, they run away from you, and they.
We'll see. We'll see. Okay, thanks, Agustin. I guess now we can move to Andre, and if you can tell me the proper pronunciation, that would be great. Full disclosure, I am not a German speaker, and I will not be working with you guys linguistically on this project either.
Right, so can you hear me very well?
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Well, my name's Andre. I've been translating for several years now, so I'm mostly a freelancer. And right now I'm located near Moscow, Russia. But I can work pretty much anywhere, so you can get a hold of me in different places, mostly here. I'm quite willing to share like whatever I learn from the translation and my research, so if you need a little bit of help or linguistic advice, you're very welcome to ask me in the course of the project. We'll see what we can figure out. I mainly translate into English because I've been learning it from like, very young, it was very long ago when I started, actually together with my mother tongue, Russian, and also doing German to English translations, Russian to English translations. And as I said, mostly freelancing around here. So that's basically it. I mean, if I can be of help, you're welcome to ask me.
So what time is it in Russia? Like 4 in the afternoon?
Yeah, 4 in the afternoon.
Okay, very good. In Cincinnati, it's 9:26, and in Argentina, it's 10:26. So Argentina is 1 hour ahead of Eastern Standard Time.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. So since the head office of translation back office is in Argentina, you probably already know that whenever we refer to delivery times and time in general, we'll be referring to the translation back office time zone, Court of Argentina.
Oh, that's good to keep in mind. Yeah, I should have some sort of standard for everybody to look at.
Exactly. Okay, thank you, Andre. And we'll go to Malena. Are you there, Malena?
Just a muted icon.
Let's see if she wakes up. Let's see if she's on the Skype. Oh, Malena's our project manager. That's right. She's new. I haven't had a chance to meet her. I think, Scott, you've worked with her, but I haven't met her since we've worked since she started working. Well, I'll just say that. That's what I know about Malena. Scott, I think, probably is a few feet from her. I'm a little bit farther since I'm in. Oh, her mic doesn't work. Okay, cool. So we have at Translation Back Office, between our offices in Argentina and Peru, I would say we have about 20 project managers. So you may hear from several different people, but on this project, it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, Malena will be the project manager who will be working with us, at least at the start. If that changes at some point, I'm sure that we'll hear about it. Marlena, if you have anything you'd like to say in the chat, go right ahead. Introduce yourself a little bit. Let us know about you. We're interested in you for about 30 more seconds. Okay, well, we'll read it when you get around to it, okay? Anyway, nice to meet you, Marlena. And now we're up to Paul. So, Paul, if you could unmute your microphone and go ahead and take the floor. Hello, Paul?
Hello?
There we go.
Oh,
How you doing, Paul?
Right. Okay, it's the first time I'm using Google Hangouts, right?
All right.
My name is Paul. I am binational. I mean, I was born in England and I was raised in Germany. It was a binational household, so from childhood on, I was used to speaking, German with my father, English with my mother, and German with my brothers and sisters. So I've been in Brazil for 20 years now, and I also consider myself native in Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese. So I translate from English to German and vice versa, German to English, and also Portuguese, English, and German. And I also translate from Spanish, not into Spanish. I might make some small embarrassing mistakes, into Spanish, but I can perfectly understand and interpret from Spanish. Okay, right. I have a Brazilian wife. She is half Italian as well, and I live in Rio, just in front of Copacabana Beach, right?
So when we have our first team meeting where everybody in the world comes together to celebrate our victories, we'll go to your house if you live in Rio.
Well, welcome. It's big enough, so no problem.
All right.
If there's an overload, we also have an apartment in São Paulo, right? Because I split my time between Rio and São Paulo. Right?
Oh, very nice. Very good. Well, nice to meet you, Paul.
Okay.
So that would leave finally the floor to our leader, Scott. So tell us about you, Scott.
Sure. Let me just read or point your attention to Malena's post. She says, okay, let's see. I'm new here at TBO, and this will be my second large project as PM here. She'll be glad to help with all stages of these projects, so we can contact her at any time. Thank you, Malena.
Fantastic.
A little bit about me, in case you guys weren't aware. I have basically two main roles here at TBO. One of the roles is QA, meaning proofreading, feedback to translators, everything that has to do with the final stages of production on the translations. My main language pair is Spanish to English, but I also proof Portuguese into English, French into English, and lacking other options, I also proof German into English. Spanish and other Latin-based languages have always been kind of the main languages I've studied, but I've been studying German kind of on an amateur basis, off and on, since I was a teenager. I have a background in classical music, and a lot of my studies of German comes from studying Johann Sebastian Bach, German classical music culture, and I've traveled in Germany a few times. So my level of German is not fluent or native in any way, but it does allow me to spot errors, be able to have a good grasp about what's going on in the source text. So I'm not going totally blind on this, but I'm sort of the de facto German to English person here at TBO. So I'll definitely be looking to your guys's familiarity with German to help on the QA side of the project as well. In general, a little bit of context about these types of projects. We really like the collaborative approach. There's a QA element that we need to establish for this project, meaning consistency of terminology, making sure that we're using correct terms since the text are medical reports and things like that. So we definitely want to make sure that everybody is cool with the collaborative aspect. That's in a way that's kind of the philosophy that we try to establish here in the into English department.
Yeah, I to chime in on what Scott said there, and to give Scott a little bit more accolades. I last year when I was working still in Argentina, and we were working with a team. We started kind of in this similar format with Spanish, Portuguese, and French, and the team members after I guess 6 or 7 months, a lot of us knew each other, and Scott was one of the guys who actually lived in Cordoba, Argentina. And in my opinion, Scott was the best linguist that we had. I mean, he was far and above. Now that, and by the way I define it, means that Scott is not only extremely accurate and detail-oriented with the work he does, but he's a very good leader who can make decisions quickly when necessary on terminology and different things like that. And Scott also has a really in-tune sense to what the delivery requirements are from the level of satisfaction that our clients are looking for. So I know that you guys are going to be in great hands with Scott as your language lead, which I guess would be the role if you're going to give it a title for Scott in this this job. And the collaborative environment, I think you guys are going to like. I don't know if you've worked with SmartCAT or other tools in the past, but we're really confident that it's the key to success here. So there we go. The introductions took a while, but honestly, I think it was probably worth it, guys. And the other part that I have here is to give you a quick introduction to SmartCAT, which is the tool that we're going to be using. I think you'll find it's very simple. You don't have to be very technologically inclined to use it. If you've used Trados, it will look very familiar. If you haven't used Trados, then it's still very simple to use. So right now what we'll do is I will share my screen with the team so that you guys can all take a look at just a few steps that you need to take to jump into SmartCAT and to get into the translation environment. Once you're in the translation environment, I'll show you a few things about how to technically carry out the translation and confirm the translation. And from there, that's the beauty of the team environment. I don't need to send you guys a 20-page manual to use SmartCAT. I just need you to get comfortable with it. And as that's happening, we're all going to be in close proximity where we can ask each other questions. How does this function work? How do I add this term to the glossary? How do I confirm the translation segment? All those little things about the learning curve we'll be able to crowdsource, if you will, between the team. Okay, so before I jump into... Go ahead, Scott.
Jeff, sorry, are you sure that you're sharing your screen right now? Some of us can see it, but some of us can't. On my
I'm not
screen,
sharing my screen right now yet.
Okay,
not yet.
Sorry. It still says that I'm presenting to everyone.
Okay, let me get my big head up there, and there you go. Now I'm presenting.
Okay, great.
Okay, so I will share my screen now. Does anybody have any questions first, or anything else to add about anything we've covered so far?
If I can see a little bit, yeah. Yeah, Scott mentioned certain specific linguistic requirements for the project. So it would be good if you kind of summarize what is expected in terms of language in the output.
Very good, Scott. You want to take that?
Let me respond to that. The client has already provided us with a glossary with around 2,500 terms. including acronyms that show up frequently in the medical reports. So there's a lot of material that we already have. That glossary has already been uploaded into the CAT tool. I think we'll kind of have to see what the types of languages there are. I mean, we might see more formal language. We might see handwritten notes. I think we kind of have to wait and see what comes up. Obviously, because they're medical reports, I think the accuracy of the terminology is always going to be the most important thing. The tool that we're going to be using has collaborative glossary features, meaning it's possible to add or suggest new glossary entries or comment on existing entries, and all of the group will be able to see those threads. So I think we'll kind of have to, wait and see in terms of what kind of text we get. But accuracy would probably be the most important criteria for now.
I think it's always important with any translation to consider the final use. I would recommend, as the translators on this project, keep it in mind. The end client here is called TRICARE, and TRICARE is the military, the U.S. military's healthcare service. So, and specifically, what I believe we're seeing are doctor's appointments and prescriptions and doctor's notes from United States military personnel who live in Germany. So there are, I guess, a lot of military bases in Germany. Honestly, that's where my ignorance comes in. I don't know how many there are. I know there are military bases in Germany. There are so that the military personnel go to doctors in Germany, and they have to have this information translated. It's probably for processing within TRICARE itself. So that's just so you can get an idea of the
Sure.
use.
Let me just add another detail there. TRICARE is basically like a health insurance company. It's part of the U.S. Department of Defense, but it basically runs like a health insurance company. So these are all medical reports of different kinds that are generated in Germany and need to be processed in English back at home, basically, either to continue treatment, justify expenses, etc., all the things that a normal health insurance company would need to do. So that's basically the context.
Precisely. So I think that answers most of Andre's question regarding the linguistic requirements. But of course, there's going to be, until we see a few weeks of how these different deliveries, how these different source files will be, we'll probably be getting to know the different variation. I don't think that we're going to see a lot of handwritten stuff. This whole batch that we've got in our possession now has 19 pages in total. We were expecting a lot more, but we're just starting out, so I think they want to give us a little bit of a step one before they want us to walk before we can run, which is understandable. And of the 19 pages, all 19 of them we were able to convert to editable text. So that means that this time is going to be 100% within SmartCAT. It will be important that you work with the PDF source file on half of your screen and SmartCAT on the other half of your screen, so that you can see the context in case anything gets a little weird. But the text recognition was very good in this case. I've had a look at the files, and we'll be uploading them shortly after this call. We're hoping that that's going to be the case every time, because we want to use SmartCAT as much as possible and have you guys just translate in that interface.
One other detail, we already have a Skype group set up for this project, which I think we're all logged into right now. As we get more familiar with the style guide, which the client has already provided, obviously we'll be having a lot of discussion about, how we interpret this style guide and things that we're seeing in the files.
Right. Yep, that will be important to follow as well. I think everyone received all those documents, correct? Yeah, I think you all at this point, and if it's not the case, let us know later. But you should have received a sample file. We've got a sample that was, I think, 20 pages long, and also style guide and a few other supporting documents regarding images and things like that. If you need any of that, we have it. We can always send it to you in case it hasn't made it there yet. Any other questions so far?
Well, if we could get over to SmartCAT, that would be great.
Yeah, just
Okay.
a quick one before we go ahead is the confidentiality thing. I know we signed one already, but like, what is the material in terms of, how secret that is and how top secret that is?
You're going to want to be very private with this information, okay? You don't want anyone able to log into your SmartCAT account. You really don't want to show it to anyone. That is the confidentiality that we are expecting. Our expectation is we're sending this work to you as a translator because you have the technical expertise required to translate it into English, and you're the only person that needs to see it. Okay. Now, if you need, of course, to consult a colleague or whatever it might be, I would ask that simply you do not show any personal information to your colleague, like social security numbers, first names, last names. Be very careful with all personal information. That really is what we would require for you in terms of the confidentiality.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, so thank you, Jeff. I rather meant like if this project does not mean us getting a special governmental clearance. This is
no.
a very fact that we're taking part in this project.
No governmental clearance. It's not top secret, or there's different levels of secret clearance with the United States government. Literally, one of them is called top secret, in case you didn't know that. And no, that's not the level of security that we're requiring. We're simply requiring what I said, that you make sure you're very careful and don't share and don't distribute or publish any personal information. Okay.
Yeah, that's clear. Yeah, thanks, Jeff. That's clear.
Sure. Any other questions? Okay. Well then, real quickly, what we're going to do, and don't worry if at first it's a little bit, it seems a little bit confusing. I don't think it will, but if it does, that's okay. We can help you clear it up later. What I'm going to do right now is share my screen and show you guys real quick the process of getting started in Smart. All right. So yet again, here we go. Give me one moment to properly log out of SmartCAT. Very good. So, you're all looking at an email? Scott?
Yeah, we're seeing an email.
All right. We'll make this short and sweet.
Let me just add one little detail. Before you see one of these kind of emails, you'll see an email that you may have already seen it, that invites you to configure your account or register your account. We've set you guys up as users within our main account, and the first time that you log in and respond to the new user email, it gives you a chance to create your own unique password. So we're already assuming at this point that you have your own password.
That's right. Yeah, this will be the second email you receive from SmartCAT. Okay, so once you receive your first email, you will know that you have been set up with a SmartCAT account. I think you all should have received that by now. And then you will receive this email that will instruct you that your documents are ready to translate. So we've set up a test here so that you can see. You should all be seeing the SmartCAT interface now. You will click it. You'll be prompted to log in. You'll use your email and the password that was sent to you, and you will see the interface. Does everybody see the translation interface?
At least on my computer, your screen is kind of dark. I see the interface, but everything
Yes.
looks pretty gray. But yeah, I can see what's going on.
Okay, very good. So essentially, this is where my specific knowledge comes a little short, but I will tell you that it's at least the way I'm seeing this, and the way that we'll be able to arrive to understand it is that it's very simple. You have your segment list over here, just like in Trados, it's divided into two. Your source on the left, your target on the right. So you'll be prompted to start. Everything is clickable within here. As you get to know the interface, you'll see that there are hover prompts for everything. So it's there'll be a short tutorial the first time you use SmartCAT, and then any question you have, you can spend a little time learning by just hovering and seeing what everything does. Okay, but in essence, you're going to translate, and then go to the next segment, translate, and so forth, all the way down. Once you have completed translation, like always, you will want to go through and read every segment, proofread your own work, make sure that everything is good to go, and you will also run a spell check. There's a spell check feature here. I'm getting a message. Everybody hear me? Jeff, we can't hear you. Can you see?
Yeah, your screen is really dark for some reason. We can see. I can see it though. I think. One sec.
I think Agustin says he can't hear me. I want to know if anyone else can hear me. Otherwise, we're going to see if you can give this a shot, Scott. Can you hear me, Scott?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, I'm not sure if everyone else can hear me or not. I think Agustin might be having trouble, but we can show this. I'll edit this later so that we can kind of show at least more or less what it all looks like. So once you're finished translating the entire document, as I said, you will spell check, go through all your work. There's a search bar up here where you can check to make sure consistency was kept. You will see your information about your TM and your glossaries in these boxes here. And our collaborative features will be down here, which we will be exploring further as we get to know each other and this tool. Once you finish the entire translation and you're sure of the segments that you've translated, you will confirm the segments here using this green arrow, green check mark, sorry. Confirm, 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 all the way down each one. This is very similar to how Trados works. And then once that is completed, then you will click Done. And as you see, it won't let me click Done right now because some segments are not confirmed. So once you've confirmed all your segments, you've done all of your due diligence, do your spell checking and all of your work, and you're sure that this is the best that it can possibly be, you click Done. And that is where your work on the file will conclude. It is, of course, necessary to work with the PDF open at the same time that you're working in the translation interface so that you can see the context and adjust as necessary. And the OCR is the text recognition, might not be perfect. We're going to do, I think, a pretty good job on it, but you might find spots that where you know that an I should be an L and things like that.
Just
Go ahead,
another
Scott.
bit of reassurance. All of us are going to be discovering things about the interface, and those are things that we can help each other out with in the Skype group. I know it's a little hard to see everything right now for some reason, but I can assure you that the interface is really, really nice to use. I've used this myself as a freelancer on various different projects. It's extremely intuitive. For those of us that are familiar with CAT tools, it should be very obvious how to use it. I think it's very elegant, and I think it should be pretty easy to use. As far as other features in the system, I think we'll have to sort of discover as a group how different features work in terms of what happens after after the project is marked as done, etc. There's QA functions that can happen in parallel on this platform, meaning the person that's set up as a proofreader will then get access to a translation that's been marked as done by a translator. So those are all things that we'll sort of discover as a team, I guess, since we're kind of new to this platform for this kind of collaborative work.
Yep, I think that it'll be a good tool to use, and I know Andre has some experience, and probably that will be helpful for us too. And anyone else who doesn't have experience, I'm not worried at all. I know that it's going to be simple to use and very powerful for us.
Yeah, should be okay.
I don't have any other topics, guys, that I need to talk with you about. You won't be seeing me after a while working real directly on the team. My purpose here is an introduction. I wanted to give you guys the background, and in essence, you can always, if you have questions about the project overall, feel free to get in contact with me anytime. You have me on Skype. Otherwise, your leader on this effort is going to be Scott. So we'll be starting very shortly. The only thing left right now for us to do is to load the files into SmartCAT. We're going to double check to make sure that the translation memory and the glossary are set up, and then we're going to split the work and send it out to you guys. Okay. There's only, like I said, there's not that much work this time, but our plan is to get it done and tell our client that we have capacity for a lot more. That all depends on us taking our time on this first one. We've got a good deadline. We don't need to turn it in, I think, until somewhere around mid to late next week. I have to double check exactly what the date was. But yeah, it should be pretty good. Mm-hmm.
Jeff, let me just point out a detail. I know that we just saw in the email that says you have been assigned such and such project in SmartCAT. Just a reminder, we're not going to be assigning work unless we already confirm that you can accept a certain amount of work. Yes. It would be the same process that we do with all of our other projects. So don't expect that we're just going to be assigning work without your previous consent.
That's a good point.
I think that's about it on my end, Jeff. I think as we progress throughout the day, we can pick things up on the Skype chat. Okay. Yeah. The only person that we didn't get to meet was Karen, but I think you've all been in touch with her in the past, and I'm sure we'll be in the future. She's our vendor manager here at Translation Back Office, and I think she probably at one point you've had been in touch with her. But you should know that in terms of if you have any questions about JT billing, all of that stuff, you can talk to Karen. And questions about the specific project and the setup and things like that, it will be between Scott and Malena probably, and Scott will be the point of contact on everything linguistic and how to divide up the work and the proofreading and all of that stuff. So that said, there are a few members of the team that also weren't here, due to time zone differences and things like that. We will have this recorded for them. I do appreciate, and we definitely, we definitely appreciate you guys getting on this call to, from the beginning, to be part of the team. So I don't know if there's anything else to add, but I thank you guys very much, and it's a pleasure to meet you.
It was great to meet you. Thank you very much.
Likewise. Good to see you guys.
Got to get
Likewise.
back to work.
Good to meet everyone.
Likewise, Agustin. Take care.
Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.